This episode, we are testing out the Sharp stereo cassette deck RT-W800 from the 1980s. But first, let's get it cleaned up.
Another visitor. Stay a while. Stay forever.
Okay, looking nice and clean. We got it up here on the top of this rack mount unit that I've kind of been building as a little mini stereo system thing. On the bottom, we have, it's been featured, I believe, in another video, but it's the Sony TC-W345. It's got the 5-band equalizer and spectrum analyzer, and all your inputs are here. Volume, you get the picture. This was an addition recently. I don't believe I covered a video on this, but this is the TC-W345 that actually matches the aesthetics with this little step thing here on the bottom of the rest of the system. I did find this at a thrift shop for $8. And believe it or not, it was working. Only thing is, just like many of these dual tape decks, for some reason, the A deck sounds horrid. I've tried cleaning it. I've tried all different things suggested, but no go. It just doesn't sound right. It sounds muffled and weird, but the other drive works perfectly fine other than it eating the occasional tape. But some of these tapes kind of get gummy or they've gotten wet or moisture in them. And so that can cause them to not play correctly. But I would say 95% of the cassettes I put in there are fairly safe and I haven't had any issues with them. Next, we have the Sony tuner. This is the ST-JX390 with programmable presets. You got a little nice display here and your tuning dial here, which I do believe I did cover these two, but not the tape deck itself. But we're here to talk about the guy on the top of the stack, this Sharp stereo cassette deck RT-W800, all nice and shiny, cleaned up. I did take it outside. I opened it up just to see what I was dealing with. There was some critter stuff in there and some weirdness, but we got it cleaned up and I think it looks pretty dang good. I mean, I polished it up a little bit, and other than that, I really didn't do anything with it. I did clean the heads and the rollers and all that, and anybody that is even slightly technically inclined knows you can open the door and clean it with a little bit of alcohol or cleaning product with the proper, I used Q-tips because, that's all I had, but there is proper head cleaning sticks, Q-tip type things that you can get. They're the proper ones that won't scratch the heads up due to the cotton in the Q-tips. But hey, I just did it real quick just to give it a quick little thingamajig. The next thing we want to do is, before we even put a cassette in here, and off camera I did test this, so I do know it's working, and it was working straight from the store. So what we got here, courtesy of executive co-producer Scott L., we have the disc washer demagnetizer. That sounds weird, but okay. It's basically a demagnetizer that has a spinning magnet inside, and I guess this works. So we'll give it a try. And there's some instructions and stuff in there, but I think we can figure this out. It's basically comes in this with this weird metal thing, I guess, to protect the magnet or whatever. Very cool looking red cassette. I mean, that's pretty sharp looking in and of itself. And we'll go with side A, and there is a side B. I don't know if it makes a difference, but what we're going to go ahead and do is put this into tape deck there, and I believe it says you fast forward for about 5-10 seconds. Okay, I assume that worked. Then we're going to rewind. Okay, it may take a second for this tape deck to kind of warm up, but there it goes. Now, because this is a dual direction tape deck, which I didn't want to give this away, do I actually have to do this, or did it do both heads? However that works. We'll get back to the dual head thing in a moment. Let's just go ahead and do this real quick. I don't know what's going on there, but okay, I think we should be good and demagnetized. That's it. Thank you, Mr. Executive Co-Producer, for lending us that. I was going to use a wand thing, but I've since sold I had like a wand to demagnetize different heads and so forth. Before we put a cassette in here, let's just go through what we're looking at here. This is intriguing because I'm guessing this came from probably the mid-90s, or excuse me, mid-80s. Could be wrong, but I'm going to guess mid-80s just by the aesthetic of it. That it just has that kind of look to it. It's just hard to explain that look. It's very utilitarian, kind of almost looks, it's almost like it takes itself a little too seriously, but then you have all these neat little coloring with the red and the blue switches, and then the colored spectrum, which we'll get into that in a minute. 2 microphone inputs, phone input. You got record levels here. You got all your different selections for dubbing, high speed and normal speed, tape mic or tape 1 mic or line in. Then we have continuous play on or off. We'll cover that in a second. Dolby noise reduction on or off. Type of tape selector. You got metal CR2 normal. And also on this, it's like tape 1 and tape 2 selection. You got your power switch in a weird place, as far as I'm concerned, right there. Tape direction on this tape deck, and then tape direction on this tape deck. And one's if you just want to go through and stop. One is relay play, which I guess the general idea we'll cover that in a moment. We got the counter and, of course, the weird VU meter that skips every other LED for some kind of weird cost-saving measure, I guess. Why wouldn't you just put in a full VU meter? But okay. Yes, auto reverse. I obviously wasn't expecting it, and I didn't even realize it when I picked it up at the store. This was a thrift find. I think I also spent $8 or $9 on this. And worked right out of, like I said, worked straight out. I checked the belt. Everything looks good in the back. It's like, wow, okay. So let's go ahead and check this out. And the idea with the tape direction, you can change it obviously to either side A or side B without actually taking the physical cassette out, obviously. But then it has like a relay thing that it does where it'll play one tape and then reverse, play the other side, and then switch off to this tape deck, play this, and then play that. I think that's what the whole idea of relay play is. This may not do that, but I'm pretty sure it does. I think it has that functionality where it'll relay play from one to another, because there's a weird little button over here that you push. And I guess if you want it to relay play, I guess when this tape gets done playing both sides, then it'll jump over here. We don't have the time to test all that because it would take forever, and I don't have any cassettes that are that short. So let's go ahead and stick in a cassette. Again, with the usual copyright thing, we're only going to play a few seconds and just, you get to catch the VU meters working and so forth. And let's see if this thing works. And we want to make sure we're in tuner because that's the input I'm using. This one was already using the tape. But here we go. Anything. Okay, well, to avoid copyright strike, we had to cut that down right away. And yeah, it's working fine. It's playing fine. Let's just try flipping it the other direction. I think that's the same song. Did it flip directions or not? We lay beside this sleepy glade. Oh yeah. This sleepy glade. Lord, don't you know does it sound? Well, to me, not perfect, but there might be some stuff I need to adjust here. Let's just make sure all this stuff's turned off. Some people like the Dolby noise reduction. I find it just makes the tape sound kind of a bit muffled. Let's try this other tape deck here since we're kind of in the same area. Yeah, I mean, it sounds better than the other Sony tape deck. Yeah, it's pretty cool with the red there. When it hits the, oh, wait a minute, I can just leave this playing. It's pretty cool because when it hits certain notes, it hits the red section on the upper part. Let's see. Yeah, it was that song. It's doing it a little bit on the higher BIOS, I guess, or BIOS setting. Yeah, it's pretty neat with the reds. I like that. It kind of adds like, oh yeah, you're hitting the top of the limit. But it's playing great, and I mean, it is like a piano style hinge, but it does have this electronic feel to it, which is pretty cool. Yeah, which tape deck? Lord, don't you know? Okay, okay. And this is a Neil Diamond tape. Have me a time with a poor man's leg. I can't honestly tell the difference. Before I know this sounded better, but then after cleaning the heads up a little bit and playing with it a little bit, so far I think they sound about the same. I mean, it could be my ears, it could be I've been listening to Doves all day long, but who knows? But this is a great thrift find. I would definitely, if you can find one working, recommend the RT-W800. Is it a top-of-the-line product? No, it's not. The thing I'm finding with these older tape decks, you're actually better off with these piano hinges because when you take them apart and if you do got to replace a belt, it's a heck of a lot easier than some of the ones that were built, say, in the 90s with auto reverse and this and that and the other because there's just so much in the way. There's actually, I've mentioned before, I have a failed project where I was restoring another Sony tape deck that has auto reverse. It has everything. It's fully loaded. And I thought I got everything right, but I can't get either deck to work. And I got a guy locally that says he might be able to take a look at it, but I got to speak with him more on it. And when he has time and I have time to get together and possibly do a video on it. But anyhow, that'll do it for this ijdm. I appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time.